Hello, everyone. This is Jackie. I am a life and business coach. I put style in there. Look at me. Anyway, what I do is I help future and new entrepreneurs build their life, their finances, and their business. So today, I also have a special guest. This interview is also for my podcast called Victory Chat with Jackie. Your victory starts here is the slogan. I have a special guest, and you all who follow me, y'all know how I do it. I allow the guests to introduce themselves, to give their name, their title, and what they do, because in my view, who better can introduce you than you? Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Thanks for having me. Well, my name is Rajeev Mudumba. I've been an entrepreneur and an executive throughout my career. I bring about 20 plus years of career in different fields. I was in direct marketing initially. After that, I've been in benefits administration, health and wellness. That's what I've done of late. And what I've been doing over the last couple of months is what I want to talk about. One is I've started my own podcast, and it's called Plan B Success. And Plan B Success is a 3-episode-a-week podcast. One of them is an interview. Every Monday, I release an interview with an inspiring entrepreneur from any kind of field, sports personality, media personality, whoever it is. It's a general interaction where we're talking about their journey through their life in terms of how they became successful or the failures they faced. That's an episode that goes out on Monday, and on Wednesdays and Fridays, I release my own episodes, me talking to the mic, basically. And it's topics that I pick that are current, that people want to hear about. And some of my previous episodes have been things like, do nice people make poor managers? Or is HR the backbone of your organization, or is it just a weak link? Those kinds of topics that I pick, and generally my background, my experience, my expertise, that's what I share on those episodes. Other than that, I have also released a book. It's called My Inspiration, Quotes That Shape My Self-Improvement Journey. And that's out on Amazon. It's available in a print format, ebook format, as well as an audio version. And it's basically a collection of quotes that I have distilled over the last 5 to 6 years through my experiences. Basically, every day, some experience. I would try to distill a quote at the end of the day and then record it away. And the book is my way of immortalizing it. It's about 650 to 700 plus quotes in the book. And that's what I've done. So Plan B Success, it's available on all the major podcast platforms out there. It's also available on planb.live or planbsuccess.live. Now, the other thing that I'm doing is Plan B Success Blueprint, which is a coaching program, online digital coaching program that I am launching on the 15th of this month, 15th of October. And what it is I believe in people being in 3 different buckets. One bucket is where people are wanting to do something and they're either not happy in their current positions, or they think that they have capabilities which they can extract and do more. So it's basically trying to reintroduce people to their own confidence. That's the first group of people. Second group of people are confident enough, but they don't know what is it that they have that they can extract and offer to other people, helping them. And then the third group of people is they know exactly what they want to do, but they don't know how to go about it. What technologies to use, what kind of people to talk to, and those kinds of things. And the Plan B Success Blueprint coaching program is to help all of these people get to that next level. So that's kind of my background in a nutshell.
Okay, cool. So let's get to these questions. Some of the questions I call light questions, and some of them are thinker, and you have a lot of years, so you got a lot of expertise to offer the people. So I appreciate you making time for us. So tell me, over your career span, have you ever worked with a coach, consultant, advisor, or virtual assistant yourself?
Yeah, at different points in time, I think one of the things that we all do is we rely a lot on our own selves because
Mhm.
until we do it, we don't believe it's perfect. And I've been doing that in parts of my career too. I've been in spots in my career where I would just not be happy with anybody else doing anything except me doing it. But the issue with that is, one, you're pursuing perfection too soon before you have something out, which is not the right the way to go about it. The right way to go about is to take action and make sure that you have something out there, and then you can start working on perfecting it. And the second way is, you're not going to be at your full potential unless you seek help. So like you said, virtual assistants or other consultants or contractors or coaches, whoever you need to bring on board in order for you to focus on one thing, but extend yourself in other directions for the work that needs to get done. And I think that's where they come into play. And until you do that, you limit your potential, you limit what you have to offer. And I realized that at some point in my career. And there are certain things that I enjoy doing. You know, the creative aspects of things, I love it. The things that are necessary to do, like, you know, the technical aspects of things, that's where I bring in help. You know, one is either it's too much of effort on my part trying to spend on it, or two, I can bring a better expert at certain aspects of things, and that's where I bring in these people. And I think it's very essential to understand that it's value for money, right? You're bringing them in, and you might look at it as a cost right now, but in the mid to long term, it pays manyfold by itself.
That's good information. So just to expand on that, let's talk about the do everything and expecting perfection. My question with that is, I read somewhere, and it was many years ago, that the average person changes careers um, maybe two or more times within the working lifespan.
That's right.
Um, so change is normal. Change happens. Um, why do you think that is so? Why do you think people change careers the way they do?
Well, you know, it's a great question. So here's my answer to that. You know, I think that when I talk about Plan B success, I think trying to answer the question of Plan B success, why is it called Plan B success, will give you an answer to your question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a strong believer that 90+% of us just land up in a job or a career by chance.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is, you could go to school and get a certain degree. You could get a degree in business or psychology, and you could do totally something different when you land a job, because you don't get jobs based on your educational qualifications per se,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're starting a career. You take my example, right? My example is, while I was in my second year MBA, I ended up joining a direct marketing company. I went door to door for a year and a half while my peers, my classmates, were out there interviewing with various companies and landing jobs. Where here I was lugging a bag and going door to door. You know that, and that was probably the strongest foundation that I ever got in my career, and that shaped my entire career. How did I land into direct marketing? Just by chance. You know, a friend of mine happened to join this company. He talked great about it. I said, okay, this is new. I've never heard about it. Let me go and try it out. And then for the next 3+ years, I built an organization, a direct marketing organization of about 300 different associates and 12 locations. It did really well. And then I decided to divest from it as technology started to make a major play. And then I got involved in technology. I was actually helping establish technology companies and grow technology companies internationally. Then I decided to come over to the US. I got an MBA here. And then after that, I just ended up finding myself in the benefits administration field. I started from the point of learning what's an insurance plan, what's an HMO, what's a PPO, what's a copay. You know, those are the questions that I was asking myself when I joined. But then fast forward 10, 15 years later, I'm an expert. I'm out there speaking nationally and internationally in conferences on healthcare, on health and wellness, on all of these topics that were very new to me at a point in time. So since I fell into that benefits administration field, I needed to expand my horizons, and that's where started getting into health and wellness, and then started writing and so on and so forth, right? And then as a part of my journey, I also realized that I love other things. I love, like I'm talking to you, I love talking, I love speaking, I love writing. I've been blogging since 2011. I wanted to become an author. I love writing. Then my podcast. So these are all things. There are things that you do. There are things that you do as a result of what you fall into. And then there are other things that you love. It could be a passion, a hobby, whatever you want to call it. And then that's where you are in your best sphere. That's where your best comes out. And eventually everybody needs to pursue what they're really good at, and then find ways of how does it help subsist, right? So I believe that people fall into different careers by chance, and then as a result of growing up, they learn more about themselves, and at a point in time in life, they make a pivot, they make a change, and then they pursue what they're really passionate about. That's where they find their happiness, that's where they find their success, and that's where they find their growth.
And it's very necessary, if your goal is to be happy, to grow and develop, that you go with, sometimes you have to go with the tide. And that is a great lesson, because things play out. My next question is, it's about focus.
Mm-hmm.
Many coaches, many consultants tell new entrepreneurs or even future entrepreneurs, because sometimes we might like a few things. We may like a few things, but when we're starting out, what is your advice concerning focus? Because, like, for example, say I'm your client, and I say, well, I like singing, I like accounting, and I like writing. And I don't know which one I want to do, but I want to start a business. I want to make it a business. How would you advise them concerning focusing on something?
Sure, absolutely. Actually, it's a part of my program that I'm coming up with. So that's exactly one of the pieces of it where I talk about clarity. There are two things, right? One is we think we are great at several things. And then we also need to look at an external perception in terms of whoever it is, family, friends, that's where you start with, as to what do they think. And our inner voice it's all about us, right? So we are always thinking about us. Most of our life we live in the mind. I believe that very much. And then we have only one view of our own self, which is our own view, and sometimes ego does play a part in it. And we might think we are excellent at something, but then the external factor might show something totally different. So it is important to get clarity in terms of asking ourselves, okay, if I were to, if writing is my passion, can I live with writing for the next 30 plus years of my life? Can I, what kind of a masterpiece do I want to spin out? How do I monetize this? If I were to make writing my life, how do I monetize this? And it's not going to happen immediately. There's going to be a downturn before an upturn comes up. How much can I bear with the downturn while I'm pursuing my passion? All of these are questions that we need to ask of ourselves in terms of finding clarity. And you might say, hey, writing is my passion. I can write all day long. But if it's not going to bring in a paycheck for you, are you still going to be in the same frame of mind 6 months from now? Are you still going to pursue it and find ways and means of making it pay for you? And those are some of the hard questions that we need to ask for ourselves, and then get that external validation too, in terms of clarity from other people as to what do they think. Do they think I'm a great singer or a great writer? Which one comes foremost to them in their mind? Those are the questions we need to ask. And we need to take all of this information together and then do an intrinsic internal search, soul searching, so to speak, in terms of saying, what is that one thing that I do want to pursue that I think I will succeed at? And that's how you find clarity, and then you go after it. But even after this whole exercise, if you feel that that one thing that the others are pointing to is not where your heart lies, then there's further levels of, there's another scenario of, another exercise that I go through, which is, going several levels deep within yourself in terms of saying, why do you think, your passion is that exact thing? And how can you make it work for you? And I think we go through that exercise. And as a result of that, it will become very clear to you what is that one thing that you should go after, no matter the ups, no matter the downs, and come out successful on the other end.
That's good. That's good. So my next question is, so think back when you first started, the first career that you mentioned where you were going door to door.
Mm-hmm.
What were 3 challenges that you faced in getting the customer to buy?
Sure. So let me give you a story. And this is a true story. I went and day one, when I joined them, I actually went out with my coach who was supposed to train me in the day-to-day, in the direct marketing skills. And they actually taught us about a 5-step process in order to close a sale. And you need to do it within about a minute or a minute and a half. And if you are able to close it, great. If you're not able to close it, then you move to the next customer. And then the formula was you meet about 300 people a day. If you meet 300 people a day, there's 30 yeses you're going to get. The rest of them are no's, and go through your no's. Your no's might be coming to you at the beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day, or totally dispersed. There's no telling how the no's are going to come. You could probably go through all the 270 no's throughout the day. No, 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 before your yeses started coming in. As long as you believe in this law of averages, it's going to work. That's what they taught us. And then he took me out for about a day to train. The day went well. He was good at what he did, and I enjoyed my day. And then I came back. The next day I show up at my office, and then they give me the bag of merchandise and then say, okay, now you're out on your own, go out and do it. And I did it. I went out at probably about 8 o'clock in the morning, and till 12 o'clock I kept getting no's. And then around, I was doing I think some homes, I was doing some office complexes, that kind of stuff. And around 12ish, I was at some homes, and I remember some person was very rude when they opened the door to me, and they didn't even wait for me to finish my pitch, and then they just slammed the door on my face. And I was totally dejected. That was the last straw for me. I was totally dejected. I was probably on the brink of tears. I came back to the office, dropped my bag, and said, I can't do this. This is not for me. I just can't do it. And then, my coach was there. He sat with me for a few minutes. He let me vent. And once I vented out everything, then he brought me a bottle of water. I drank some water, and then he sat me down and he said, listen, there's 2 things you can do. One thing is you can pick up that bag, wash your face, go pick up that bag, go back at the field, and just keep doing what you're doing. Believe in that law of averages and just do what you've been taught, that 1.5 minute pitch. And don't worry about the customer saying yes or no. If you take it personally, it's never going to help you. Just brush it off every time there's a no and go to the next one. Just keep doing it, and it'll come to you. And you'll get so good at this that you will know how to tweak your pitch, and you will know how to get the yeses out of the customers. He said you can do that. And this is probably the hardest training possible out there in life that you're getting. And this will help you throughout your entire career. The second thing he said is, or you can walk out that door and then your history. Nobody will know you. I will not call you back. It's over. And in my mind, your history. And, that struck pretty hard for me. It was pretty profound. And I sat for a few minutes, thought it over. And then I'm like, no, I think I'll go ahead and do it again. And I picked up the bag and I went out again. I ended up probably selling 2 or 3 pieces that day. I didn't get a whole lot of yeses, but I stuck. I stuck with it. I went door to door for about 1.5 years. I built really large teams. I opened up an office, a franchisee office, And from there, after at a certain point in time, I actually went independent, started my own company, and that's where it grew to those 12 locations, 300 associates before I divested and came out of it. So that's my story on that one. And I think, it's about being strong and going on and on and on. Don't expect, don't get into something and expect a red carpet being laid out for you. It's never going to happen. You need to earn it, and you need to make it happen for you.
That's good. And thank you for the story. I mean, it was so many nuggets in that story. What I got from the story is, number one, you have to be persistent. Number two, you have to understand what that means. So if number one is persistent, number two is resistant, because you have to be able to resist those feelings or those emotional things that you may go through, hear and know. And I love the fact that you said you can't take it personally, because that is basically, it will stop you in your tracks. And
That's
you
right.
have to make a decision where are you going to go from here?
Absolutely.
And then number three, what is your end goal? What is your end goal? What are you going to do? Which is you just have to make a decision. And I just love that. I love that example. It was really, you told it with precision. So I really enjoyed it. Okay. So my next question is, from the time you were a salesman to the time that you branched off and started your own organization, how much time frame was that?
That was about a year and a half. For a year and a half, I went out on the field. Then for about another year, close to a year and a half, I actually ran a franchisee office with the company. This was actually a Canadian direct marketing company that had come over to India, and it was imported goods. It was foreign goods. So there was, it was an exciting thing. We saw new stuff and we were selling new stuff and the customers loved it and all that. At a point in time, the company decided to source their products locally. And once they decided to source their products locally, I had the same access to the same markets, to the same products locally as well. And that's the time I decided to go independent. So that's the time I went independent and did my own sourcing and built my own organization.
Okay, so my next question has to do with responsibility. First, I want to know if you're married, if you have children, or if you're caring for any family members, and what does that do how does that affect your drive toward being successful in your business?
Absolutely. I am married, and it's my wife, me, and two kids. I have a 16-year-old son, and I have a 10-year-old daughter. One is in high school, one is in middle school. Absolutely. It's we're a very close-knit family. So it's all about the family, and the drive for success is absolutely to provide for the family, to give them the best of life possible, best of education possible. And that's a big driver. That's a big fire, so to speak, in terms of pushing me and driving me to do what I do and to be successful at it. And I think that's great. It's always been that way for me throughout my life. And it's that one rock that holds you steady no matter the ups and the downs. And that you're doing it for the betterment of the family. Whatever you're doing is, at the end of the day, that's what you come back to, after a day's worth of work. And it's a beautiful experience, caring for the family and then doing what you're doing in order to see them through and make them successful in their lives. And then it's setting an example too, right? So think about it. For my kids, it's about setting an example. So I'll give you an example here. I'll give you another story. So I've always wanted to write. Like I said, I've been blogging since 2011. I wanted to write a book. I had a book in my head back in 2006. It's still in my head. It's probably, a little bit done. I have two books in my head actually at this point in time. One of them is half done. One of them I'm getting started. At some point, I want to get those two done. But then I've talked about writing a book for a long time, and my daughter is very interested in what I do. So every couple of months or every couple of weeks now, she would ask me, Dad, where are you with your book? What chapter are you on? And and this was pretty recently, over the last couple of years. And then I started thinking to myself, I didn't really have an answer for her. How many times am I going to tell her I'm on chapter 5 or chapter 6? And I'm like, I'm just not setting the right example for her. I'm basically telling her that I make plans and then I don't go through them. And, this could have a bad impact on her. So what I did is my wife and my daughter, they were in India for the summer vacation. And I told her before she left, I said, by the time you come back, I'll have a surprise for you. And then they left. And once they left, I used those 2 months to sit down and get all my podcasting done, going. And then at the same time, I sat down, wrote my book, got it published, all of that. And then when by the time she came back, it was done. And then I showed her, hey, it's not the same book that I was writing. That's still going on. But look here, there's another book that I've published, and here it is. And by the way, the podcast, and I share a lot with my daughter. And then, it was around December timeframe that I bought a mic, and then, talking about podcasts. And then we fooled around with some softwares and all that. But then she didn't even see that come through. And by the time she came back, I was through a few episodes. It was launched, all of that. And she was really, really excited. But I felt proud about it because it was my way of showing her, hey, I had this idea. I saw it through. It's done. So now I can hold my kids accountable for the stuff that they need to do.
That's good. Thank you for the story. This is good. So my next question has to do with generation.
Mm-hmm.
So how old are you, and how has your drive towards success and concerning how you're able to provide things for your family differ from what your parents were able to provide for you growing up?
Sure. I am in my mid 40s at this point. And I think, to answer your question, it's two generations, right? The way I like to look at it is my parents I believe we've been through three different industry revolutions, so to speak. My parents belonged to, probably you could call it, the industrial revolution, where it was all about finding a job, holding on to it. You're out there to please your boss. You're out there to, no matter how hard things are, no matter what you're facing, you still hold on to the job because that's security. And that's what a lot of parents did during their time, which is, it was no more about, how's the job, how's the environment, what am I making? It was not all about that. It was about hold the job, make sure you bring in a paycheck. There should be job security. There's a family to feed, and let's put food on the table every single day. That's what the generation of parents did, my parents, and I'm sure other parents too.
Mm-hmm.
Our generation came through not during the industrial revolution, but through the information revolution, which is where, computers came out and there was a lot going on, the activity around the computers. Every single industry was getting influenced by computers. So we had to equip ourselves with a new set of skills. But our generation was more about the improving the standards of life.
Mm-hmm.
Our generation was no more about just job security. It was no more about just putting food at the table, but it was more about, am I getting the right value for the services I provide? Or you switch companies. That's what people have done, right? And it was still about, being happy in your job and having longevity in your job that you held. Generally, I think people held on to jobs between 3 to 8 years or more. And it was about
Mm-hmm.
standards of life, quality of life. Do I have a good house, a good car? Do my kids go to good schools? Are we able to afford good food outside at restaurants? It was all of that. It was about improving standards of life. And I think now the generation, what I would call the social revolution, which
Mm-hmm.
is, jobs are taking a spin on their head. There are new ways of making money, like YouTubers, influencers, coaching programs, right?
That's right.
All of the coaches, rather, and all of these people are now, it's about you can do different things. Now it's about passions and things that you're interested in, and how do you monetize them, and all of that. So now we're going through this social revolution where it's not even about the standards of life, it's about the quality of life. It's about people seeking quality. What kind of an atmosphere am I living in? What kind of an atmosphere am I working in? What kind of thought process or beliefs does my employer hold? um, you know is it a good environment? Is it positive? Do I like where I sit? And it's about caring for the environment. So many different things come into play. It's about the quality of life. So I think we went from job security
Mm-hmm.
at our parents' time to standards of living, improving standards of living during our time. And then the next generation is going to be improving the quality of life.
And that's good. So it's still in that realm. When you are a entrepreneur, how is knowing that information vital to your bottom line?
I think it is. I think being an entrepreneur is two things. The way I look at it is, one is being authentic. You cannot make up stuff and then expect to serve your clients. You got to be authentic. And I think for me, that comes from my background, my experience, my
Mm-hmm.
expertise, my skill set, my life experiences. There's so many things that I tap into in order to be authentic. You and I are talking here. This is not a pre-prepared interview, right? Things are coming in my head as we speak, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about it. And this is what authenticity is all about. This is not to put yourself on a high pedestal, since I'm an entrepreneur or a coach, and here I am sitting in the high pedestal, and you are asking me tips and tricks, and I'm feeding it. It's about a conversation. It's about being on the same plane and being honestly able to try to help people. I think if you are in the business of serving people, and
Mm-hmm.
you're authentic about it, your clients will come. Your bottom line, your top line, everything will improve. And then the other thing is, one is that, and which is being authentic. The second thing is, as an entrepreneur, or whoever you are, even if you're a professional, you can still be an entrepreneur in the
Mm-hmm.
job or the company that you're working with. And I think the key difference of a successful entrepreneur or the one who's not successful is taking action. Take action. You can ideate all day, you can plan all day, you can prune your craft till it's pitch perfect, but perfection is not what you should pursue at this point in
Mm-hmm.
time. Pursue action, look for outcomes, look for results. Doesn't matter what shape or form it is in, because once that outcome is out there, then you can work on pruning it and working on it and crafting it to its stage of perfection that you aspire for it. But without action, it's still an idea in your head. And I think that's the key difference between a successful and an unsuccessful entrepreneur.
That's good. Um, and you're right. Like the interviews I've been doing lately, that's one of the reasons why I have not been giving people all the questions. I generally just give them a description of of the purpose of the interview, because I want the answers to be authentic. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what an entrepreneur thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Basically that's the theme, what you think. And the importance of this whole thing is to encourage and motivate people to keep going,
Mm-hmm.
and to allow you to find some type of clarity or be able to settle your mind. Because yes, there's a lot of tricksters out there, but you cannot be focused on those things. You have to be like a horse. You know how they put blinders on a horse, and the reason
Yes.
why they put blinders on a horse is so the horse don't get distracted and go off on their own, because they're not dumb animals.
Yeah.
They thinking, breathing things, and they get curious. So they put blinders on them. So when they're riding the horse obeys the person that's riding. They respond to the command instead of taking them wherever they want to. So that is important. So yes. Okay. So my final question, if you had it all your 20 years, if you had it all to do differently,
Mm-hmm.
is there one thing or two things that you would do differently?
There's a blog article that I wrote at a point in time in my life as to what advice would I give my 22-year-old self. And what I wrote was, I wouldn't change a thing. You know, I think it's a journey, right? It's a journey, whether the ups and the downs and whatever you've been through. Obviously everybody's life is full of it. So is mine. I've had my challenges. I've had my successes. I've had my low moments. I've had my high moments. And I don't think I would change a thing. I think life is interesting when you go through it and you come out on the other end triumphant. And I think I wouldn't change anything. I'm not going to tell you that, oh, I'm going to tweak these things, change these things so that I wouldn't have gone through those downturns. No, I think it's a part and parcel of the package. I am very grateful for my life and I would not change a thing. And I think what's important for people to understand here is every one of us has our own unique journey. You can't look at somebody, you can't look at Steve Jobs and say, gosh, I wish I had that life. No, he died, at a certain point in time because of a disease. That was his part and parcel of his package. You got your own life. You should focus on your own life. You should focus on your own challenges and come out successful on the other end. And that's what you should aspire for. So I don't think there's anything to change in my life. I'm very grateful for the way it's rolled itself out. But what I'm more excited about is the life of the future, how it's going to roll about, and that's what I have control over, and that's what I'm going to do things and make things happen where I do all that I want to do in life. I think one other thing that I want to tell people is, you know go through your life in such a fashion that when you look back, maybe in your, I don't know, whenever 80s or so, there's nothing that you regret. I think one of the key aspects of life that we need to remember is don't ever do anything that you would regret, and don't ever miss an opportunity of not doing something that you will regret later in life. You should never ever hold any regrets. As long as you're focused on that, I think you will do all the right things in your life to get to the point where you can look back at it and say, I'm happy with my life. I've tried everything. I have no regrets. So keep reminding yourself not to have regrets. And I think that's the most important thing. If you want to try something, no matter how foolish it may look to others, go ahead and try it out, is what I would say. Because you will look back and say, I wanted to try it out. I tried it out. Whatever the outcome, I'm happy with it because I tried. Don't go back and, don't spend your life not trying something and then looking back at it and saying, gosh, I wish I had tried that. If I had tried that, my life would have been different. No, go through your life. It's your life, and make sure you hold no regrets.
That is so good. My great grandmother, I was raised by my great grandmother, and she used to always say, you cannot get anywhere looking backwards. If you want to go somewhere, you have to look forward and walk forward.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what she would always tell us as kids. And I found myself as an adult repeating that to myself and to other people. And yes, it is so true. And some of those sayings she used to say are timeless. They're still relevant today. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you so much. This has been an inspiring interview. So before I let you go, please tell the people how they can contact you, and if you give a website or a social media link, make sure you spell it.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. So my website, my personal website is rajeevmudumba.com. It's RAJEEVMUDUMBA.com. So that's my name and .com. And that's my personal website that houses everything that I do. My podcast is Plan B Success. It's available on planb.live, or it's available on planbsuccess.live. And it's available on all the major podcasting platforms out there. It's out there on Google Play, Google Music, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, whatever you use. You can go there, you can subscribe, you can listen to all the episodes, and there's new ones coming out every week. And then my book, My Inspiration, Quotes That Shape My Self-Improvement Journey, is available on Amazon as a physical book. It's also available on Audible in an audio version. And then it's available on Amazon as an ebook as well. And what I like to call this book is, like I said, it's a collection of quotes. And the way I like to refer to this is, if you really look at any challenges that you've had in life, if you go to your elders, generally what they tell you is, go and open up a spiritual book, like the Bible, for instance. And then no matter what page, just open it up and read what you see first, and you will find a solution for your challenge speaking to you right there. This is that kind of a book. This is that kind of a book for professionals and entrepreneurs. It's a collection of quotes that I just didn't make it up. I actually went through them through 5-6 years of my life, and I distilled it in the form of my own quote. And then it's about 650-700 quotes. It's like a 90-95 page book. And if you are a professional or an entrepreneur or a business person, you're going through a challenge, you should be able to open up any page. There's no one way to read the book. And the quote that you see should be able to speak to you. And it should be able to provide you insight as to what solutions you can have for your challenge. That's the kind of a book it is. So like I said, it's available on Amazon. You can download it. You can buy it right there. And then my coaching program, Plan B Success Blueprint, is launching on the 15th of October. And it's available on, it's going to be available on my website, rajeevmudumba.com. And I'm going to be publicizing it on Facebook. There's a Facebook Plan B Success page. People can subscribe to it. There's a Facebook My Inspiration page. And then I'm available out on all the other social media channels. I'll be providing all of that to you so you can have it in the show notes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited for people to hear this. And I've been excited. Like I've been like literally on the edge of my seat just listening to all that, because you provided a lot of nuggets, like a lot of meat for everybody's plate. So I hope they take heed and connect. So
awesome.
That's what it's all about. No matter what business you're in the people business.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Now, this is Victory Chat with Jackie. Your victory starts here. See you all next time. Bye.